The Arab group emphasizes the need to ensure the full protection of Palestinian civilians, lift the unjust blockade imposed on the Gaza Strip, and allow the entry of humanitarian aid without any restrictions or conditions to all parts of the Gaza Strip. It emphasizes that the continued denial of access to relief supplies and the targeting of civilians and civilian infrastructure constitute flagrant violations of international law and international humanitarian law. This requires a firm stance by the international community and this Council to put an end to these violations and hold the perpetrators accountable. The Arab group condemns in the strongest terms the continued brutal Israeli aggression against the Gaza Strip for over 600 days. This aggression takes a systematic form of barbaric bombing, destruction and starvation. Since the imposition of the full blockade in March of this year, the occupying power has prevented the entry of food, water, medicine and fuel into the Gaza Strip. This resulted in a complete paralysis of all aspects of life in the Strip. Hunger levels have reached what the United Nations described as unprecedented in the world. The entire population of Gaza is at the risk of starvation. The UN Secretary General warned that this blockade constitutes unacceptable collective punishment, which necessitates urgent international action to put an end to these gross violations of international humanitarian law. Madam President, humanitarian aid has been transformed into a means of forced displacement, as civilians, including women and children, are forced to repeatedly be displaced to distribution points that are managed within the occupation system and lack the minimum level of human security and dignity. International reports and television lenses have documented incidents of shooting at civilians as they gathered to receive aid. This resulted in dozens of civilian victims, including women and children, either killed or wounded. In light of these practices, starvation is no longer just a physical violation. Instead, it has become a tool of war that is systematically and openly used in flagrant violation of international humanitarian law and the Geneva Convention's provisions, without the perpetrator facing any deterrent or accountability. The continuation of this catastrophic situation in the Gaza Strip represents an abject failure to uphold the purposes and principles of the UN Charter. It is an unacceptable failure to fulfill the collective obligation to protect civilians in armed conflict.